Good day, viewers. You are welcome back again to NasTvAfrica, an online mentorship platform to develop Africa youth, to build leaders, and then make sure Africa realize its full potential. And we are so lucky and privileged to have in our midst two deep intellect, highly referred private practitioners and academics. They have come here today to share with us from their pot of wisdom. We are so lucky to have them because they have both experienced the two plank of development, which is private sector and academics. One thing that we are going to get away with is that somebody is going to tell us how education can help the calling of our time, food security, agriculture, and how agriculture can be maximized, utilized, and explored for the benefit of Africa. We believe that once food security is taken care of, development is assured. So today, I have with me from my right there, Dr. Mrs. Aminat Hamad Ali Imam from University of Ilorin.
Thank you very much for having me.
At the same time, I have my brother, a man of so many parts too, Dr. Usman Akanbi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Good day, our viewers, our audience out there.
Thank you very much. Now, let's get to the business. I'm going to start with you, ma'am. Let me quickly say this. Presently, apart from our audience, the whole world is watching. There's an international and there's an online television, which is meant to mentor the youth in Africa and African in diaspora. Okay. Now, they like to meet you.
Okay. So a bit about myself.
Very well.
Thank you once again for having me here today. Like you rightly said, my name is Dr. Amina Ahmed El Imam. I am an academic at the University of Ilorin in Kwara State, North Central Nigeria. I was born in Kano State. I've lived in many states of Nigeria, including Kano, Kaduna, and Abuja, before settling in Kwara. I grew up in a small nuclear monogamous home, but again, I come from very large families. I'm married today with my own family, and I'm blessed, privileged to have experienced Nigeria and the world as it is. Regarding education, I had my secondary education at the Federal Government College in Kano. Then I went for my first and second degrees in microbiology at the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Kaduna State, and now I lecture at the University of Ilorin. Upon resuming at Uni Ilorin, I had the opportunity and privilege to go to the United Kingdom, where I obtained my PhD in life sciences at the University of Nottingham.
Thank you very much. Sir, the whole world will love to meet you.
So I would like to take cue from her own account. Well, I was born in Jos, though I'm from Ilorin here. And I had my primary education across, starting from Kano down to Ibadan. Then I also attended Federal Government College, Ilorin. I'm a typical homeboy because I eventually began I studied agriculture at the University of Ilorin. And for my first degree, I had Bachelor of Agriculture degree from the University of Ilorin. Then I did a Master's in Business Administration for University of Ilorin. I did an MSc, University of Ilorin. And I did my PhD in University of Ilorin. My working career basically started with the First Bank of Nigeria PLC. I was there for almost about 7 years there. I moved over to National Maritime in Lagos into the maritime sector. From there, I think I had a stint of about some 4 years there. Then I now came to Ilorin, Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources then. I was appointed the project coordinator of the Kwara State Fadama Development Project. I was there for 8.5 years. And from there, I proceeded. From there, immediately I had my PhD. I left to resume as a lecturer, adjunct lecturer in Kwara State University for just about a year. Not long after, I joined the service of the University of Ilorin. I'm a lecturer today in the Department of Agricultural Economics and Farm Management. That's all. Thank you.
You very much. Thank you very much. Ma, let me start with you. You have had your experience, you schooled in Nigeria, and you had part of your education abroad, and you have had your experience in the private sector. Now you are an academic.
Yes.
Your experience, we want you to reconcile the three for us. Your experience where you are going to school, your experience as a private sector practitioner, and as a banker for that matter, and then your experience as an academic. What has been the synergy between the education of then with now, then your banking and everything? We want you to lump it together.
Wow. Okay. This is quite the loaded question, isn't it?
Very well.
It's a loaded question. And yeah, you do know me. Yeah. I neglected to mention that I also started my career in First Bank PLC.
Wow.
So you have First Bank veterans here. I was privileged to have worked for First Bank for 5 years, and it's an opening into how the private sector works. So I know how the private sector works, like you mentioned. And like you said, I have a bit of a varied education too. But you see, your question about how the private sector works vis-a-vis the public sector and academia is a very pertinent one. How do I mean? Private sector is driven by profit, bottom line, targets, goals, KPI. Are you meeting them or not? The public sector is aimed for the public good. It's to better me, better you, better our children, better society. So they have different targets. If you try to run society, the public sector, like a private enterprise, it might be too hard for the common people, those who are not in government patronage or who do not have relatives at the helm of power. Now, the thing is this. There is maximum efficiency in the private sector, which you might not find in the public sector. Again, because the private sector is profit-driven. When I started as an academic, I left banking to academia because I thought I could directly make an impact every single day of my life. My chosen profession, my dream, my goal has always been to be an academic. So I took the first available opportunity, and I took a significant pay cut to go and be an academic. And I've been able every single day of my life to measure whether or not I have made an impact. How do I mean? The youth need to jump through a lot of hoops to achieve anything in today's world. So if you are in any position to help them reduce those hoops, help them lower the barriers, help them shorten the learning curve, then you have saved them a year or two of roaming around aimlessly. You've made life and progress easier for them. And as an academic, we are privileged, we are blessed to have the experience of how things work in the private sector, which many of our students will eventually go to. So we impact this knowledge to them in addition to whatever it is that the curriculum asks us to teach them. So we are lucky to have private sector experience, work in the public sector, and combine this knowledge and add to the lives of our children, of our students. I beg your pardon. Now, to your question about whether or not there is a synergy between private sector, public sector, and the academics, it's unfortunate that there is a synergy, but it's not much, to be fair. And a lot more can be done to harmonize academia and especially industry, the town and gown marriage we always like to talk about. How do I mean by this? We have academics who have devoted decades of their lives, to developing solutions to problems, mentoring students, doing research. And then we have industries that have problems, challenges with their processes, and they would like to optimize these. Why are we not talking to each other? It's very simple. Firstly, again, like I said, profit is the ultimate goal of private sector. If private sector says, I will give you 1 million naira, do research, they expect that within that financial year, or very soon at least, that 1 million will generate 5 million for them, 10 million for them. Academia and research is not really immediate. It's a long, sometimes painstaking process. Most of the advances you have seen in technology today did not happen in one academic year. It's 10, 20 years and billions of dollars in investment. And again, the private sector, they're not really doing well. We are all in the private sector. We have some experiences and interaction with them. The profit margins are low, opportunities are few, so they don't even have the funds to invest in any research, to be honest. Research is expensive, research takes time, which are contrary and inimical to the ideals and values of the private sector. But having said all these, I must be honest to say that more effort is being made on the part of the academics, especially, to pursue an interaction that could immediately benefit our students. We try to get them into industrial training and mentorship programs in private companies, and this is yielding fruit in terms of training our students and preparing them for the labor markets that we hope they'll be able to compete favorably in. So while things can improve, we are not there yet. That's what I'd like to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow. As you can see, there's synergy but very low. And I think that has been the bane of African development. And as an academic, what we have noticed over time is that you don't get promoted unless your publication is internationally publicized. And this complex is always there, even among our academics, that unless that is done. And I wonder, because several times people like us have witnessed the presentation of thesis and stuff, and when we see research, we see some people at their master's level, PhD level, comparing over 5-10 countries and come up with concrete steps, solutions to certain problems in the society, but yet we are not doing this. Let me narrow it to agriculture. There are so many theses, genius, first class brain. They have done research. They have achieved so much in academic research as far as agriculture is concerned. But yet, most of our farmers, they still go for mushroom kind of a training on how to plant cassava. What's academics doing? What are you doing, sir?
Thank you. Actually, the goal of an education in university is to broaden the horizon. It's not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. So it's just like she said, is when you're doing a research, it's not something that you're seeing immediate benefits coming. It's a long-term goal. So how prepared are we? Even when we arrive at research stage, it's just a decision. It's an abstraction of what you have already set out to do. It's only in the realm of implementation that it moves to the commitment of energy and resources that you have. Nigerian academics, some of the people look down and say, okay, what is it? Okay, I just did a simple research on egg production in Kwara State. So one of the boys that we did it together, he now said, Oga, they are reading this your work all over the world. So it's left. In fact, I had a particular one I did with somebody in marketing department. I thought it was just one research work that I did that was just one by the way of the value chain along the cultural fish farming. Over 1,000 people had read it all over the world. So it means that there are other people that are curious, trying to see. And how would you know that those in Nigeria are working? I went to a federal government college. 1/3 of, if not about half of my classmates are living abroad. Between Canada, US, South Africa, and what have you. And check most of the federal government colleges in the 80s. Nigeria only trained manpower for other countries of the world.
Wow.
And how would you know that this thing is there? The only thing that the glad tidings that is coming from that movement, my classmates, when I finished in 1992 in University of Ilorin, about a third of them, close to a third of them are also living abroad. So, but how then do you see that there's a different, that this thing is a glad tidings somehow, and that you not underrate what they had because they had their basics in Nigeria, is that the foreign remittances to Nigeria was almost competing with oil earnings in 2018. Crude oil, not agriculture, was competing. How was that from foreign remittances? Where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? It's from the money that people in diaspora are sending to Nigeria. And most of those in diaspora are professionals. Some of you will think it's the hush puppies of this world, or these people that are sending that money, or Woodbury. But you have people who are really doing. In fact, I don't see there are about 4,000 Nigerian doctors working in the UK.
4,000 Nigerian
Yes.
doctors. Wow.
That's a loss. And Nigerian education is one of the cheapest in the whole world. In the sense that if you want to go to school abroad, you have to go for student loan, you have to go for some other scholarship and what have you. This money is there provided from those who had exploited Africa years back. Carnegie Foundation, Ford Foundation, it was just last month that those who were who set slaves free, there was a kind of money that was being paid by the banks. The money was, they finished paying the money to those slave owners just last month in UK. Those families are living off from the proceeds of slaves that were brought from Africa, and they have been able to expand that money and that monetary base. So the let me give you an example. University of California, somebody contacted me and said, "Whoa, why don't you talk to Jagdeep? He's sitting over a research fund of about $1 billion. Jagdeep was my friend, investor of Ilorin. He read engineering, yet he's sitting over a $1 million research fund in the US. So you can see the kind of brains that we have. One of my friends went to Australia. I now sent another friend, okay, when you get there, just contact Adibo, is there. He said, oh, Adibo, he now said, that's your friend though, that you sent me to. He's a brain, one of the best brain that those whites are saluting him. When he got there, somebody said, oh, where's that your father? He said, that man is crazy, but one of the most brilliant chaps. It means the environment that we have here has not enabled the brilliancy of Nigeria to triumph. But the problem is that the future is in our hands. So in agriculture that you are talking about, yes, agriculture, people will say, oh, well, agriculture local. You read agriculture, why don't you go and farm? Where do you begin? Where do you get the land? Where do you get the funds? Agriculture is a biological process. Anything can happen along the way. Who takes care of the losses that you're going to make there? In the US, there's always a cushion effect for their farmers for everything. But the problem is, in most countries of the world, those who, before you can become an administrator, they will want to look at what experience exactly do you have. In Nigeria, to be a governor, you just need to have school cert. And we know how they do school cert in Nigeria these days. So many schools were banned during the last WAEC in Ilorin now. So somebody can find his way through rigmaroling the system and will get a degree and will come back. So what you put into is an input-output relationship. Either in governance, either in school, you will not get the output.
Thank you very much. I like that. If you don't put the right thing there, you can't get right thing. It's about input and output. That will take me to the next question.
How efficient is the process?
And how efficient? Yeah, very well, fantastic. That will not take me to the next question, to Dr. Miss Ahmed Early, ma'am. If you don't put writing there, you can't get writing. What are the inputs in our educational syllabuses?
Educational syllabuses.
Yeah, educational curriculum syllabus. That's exactly what I'm saying. What are the inputs, the kind of courses our students are going through?
Okay.
Why are they having it so difficult?
Outside when they finish.
Yeah, why are they having it difficult? What is that input in the university that's making it so difficult
I get your point, sir.
to survive out there?
I get your point, sir. And
Well-
it's one of the things that gives me sleepless nights, to be honest.
Wow.
Because you do your best, you try everything you can, but you still see the graduates struggle when they go into the labor market. I have a first class, I have a 2-1, I have a 2-2. Why am I not employed? These are legitimate questions. And our youth have been asking this for at least a decade as the unemployment rate continued to soar. So we go back to the drawing board. Look at the genesis of what we are inputting, to borrow my colleague's statement here, what we are inputting to our products. Our curriculum has not really been nimble enough to catch up with the times as it has been changing. If there is anything that is a constant nowadays, it's change. Everything moves fast. What you think is a new technology is already becoming old. the people in the audience today, if I say I like Facebook, they'll say, what? That's an old app. Am I right? Facebook is becoming antiquated to the younger generation. That is how quickly times are moving. So when you have a curriculum that is stagnated, that is not being updated at frequent intervals to capture the vagaries of society and to meet the needs as they come up, you will have graduates who are unable to get jobs and then perform very well when they are employed. Now, the issue is this. Our curriculum needs an updating. We know this. And some of the things I would like to see is the mainstreaming of things like entrepreneurship, the mainstreaming of things like technology, modern technology. I'm talking Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, modeling, logic. You understand? Sustainability issues. I want to see them mainstreamed into education, not isolated in one GNS course that, you've done it, right? That's all. It should be mainstreamed because technology is our life today. Every single thing we are using today is a product of basic and modern high-level technology. And we are not playing this race at all. We are not even in the race. I won't say we are not competing well. We are not even in the race at all. We need to change this, and it's the curriculum that can help us to achieve this. Now, having said this, making use of what we have at hand, the curriculum, the government and the universities, academics and the Ministry of Education have worked together to put together. It's not that bad. It can improve. There's a lot of room for improvement, especially with updating, but it's not that bad. Let me tell you why. And this is what many Nigerians don't want to hear. Our education is not as bad as we, the products, portray it. You are sitting here, you paid 20,000 naira per year to get a degree. You go abroad, you earn $20,000 a month with that same degree and a few courses. Look at the multiples that you have achieved. One of the best investments you can make for yourself is to get an education in Nigeria today in a public institution. Yes, it is not the most interesting or the most convenient education, but then again, what part of life is easy? What is easy? Illiteracy? Poverty, lack of knowledge, lack of exposure. Yes, it is tough. That is how we went through education, even though we went to one of the best universities in West Africa at the time. If not Africa, ABU Zaria was fantastic. The point is this: things are tough, but then again, nothing is good that does not pass through toughness. Iron needs fire to bring out its best properties. So the question is, are you iron or are you fat? Are you iron or are you fat? The system is tough, but when you look at what you have put in, you put in 15,000 school fees. The government is heavily subsidizing our education. We need to acknowledge that. When you go abroad, you either take student loans that you will pay forever. It's like a mortgage. You never stop paying it because the interest alone will keep you stagnated. Or you work so hard to get a partial scholarship and you work 2-3 jobs to survive. This is not something I was told. I studied abroad at some point. So you need to realize that the education you are getting is at least 50 to 100-fold more than what you are paying for it. And for that, we have the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government to thank. ASU is constantly at the forefront struggling. We need classes. None of us here, not one person in this room today, attended a university that did not see TET fund on their compounds. Not one person. TET fund is because the universities were fighting for more funding for education for you and for me. So the thing is, our curriculum is not that bad. You know why? All those doctors he mentioned, I know them. When I'm walking the halls of the teaching hospital, where I was a student in the Faculty of Medicine in the University of Nottingham, most of the doctors I come across, we just look at each other, we recognize each other, and we go, my person, how now?
Wow.
In the United Kingdom. How you day? How are you doing? These are doctors that paid 15,000, 20,000 per session. They are making a lot of money and they are sending money into the country to develop Nigeria for you and for me. So everybody who has got a Nigerian education has made one of the best possible investments that you can make for yourself. And it is this same curriculum that we say, we agree that a lot can be done, but what we are currently getting is good enough to better our lives considerably. And there is no surer way, no better investment to lift ourselves out of poverty and into the middle class than education.
Very well.
The Nigerian education that we recognize it lapses, but it is still the surest and, if I'm not mistaken, one of the safest and most integral ways to develop ourselves.
Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. I think we are changing narratives there. Then we just had the professor of engineering health, and I think you are speaking the same line that Nigeria education is not that bad.
No, it's not.
I think the question now is how best are you using it for your own benefit? That means there must be something you must have learned from university that should help you. That if you have Nigeria education, you have made one of the best investments for yourself. I know that. Thank you very much. Sir, now she has said it all. We use how the issue is that okay, fine, they have had education. I used to believe that there's difference between education and knowledge. Knowledge is what you have inside your brain. Education, in my own parlance, when I teach my entrepreneurship, education, as far as I'm concerned, is street smartness. Education is all encompassing. That means ability to survive out there with the principle of knowledge that you have learned, not necessarily the knowledge, the principle associated with knowledge. But the youth are saying that they are asking us to go to farm. Me, farmer. In those days, farming is associated with poverty. Yes, sir. Then, how can education help somebody with the PhD, BSc, the people that are being stereotyped or have the preconditioned mindset that they have to not tie and be inside the AC? How can the education, the agricultural economics education, how can it help our people in Africa so that we can ensure food security?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
When I was preparing to go to the university, and I told everybody what I wanted to study agriculture, people could not believe it. I had my first admission at first instance to University of Ife, then to study agricultural economics in 1985. But my dad was not truly convinced about agriculture because I had about 5 distinctions. So he felt that he could go ahead and do another course. But honestly speaking, I can tell you confidently that the person, when I resumed University of Ilorin to study agriculture, the guy who led JAM, who led WAEC, who led USS, University Secondary School, came in to study medicine. When ASU did not give me money the other day, he sent me money all the way from Australia without even asking. The guy dropped out of medicine in the 3rd year, not because he was good. He was not good, or was not able to. He could not cope with it, but he felt that he really had no interest in medicine. He had interest elsewhere. So my interest all from the one was to study agriculture, probably influenced by my mom or something like that. So I never looked at it as something demeaning. It depends on the appreciation you give to students. The problem is that Nigeria, that mentality is there. Even my 3rd year, my dad said, "Oh, what will you come out?" I said, "I'll come out." He said, "Oh," I said, "But you are not buying me books." He said, that was a judge of Nigerian court.
Wow.
Although before he died, he was always preaching agriculture, because now they now saw what went wrong with Nigeria was that we neglected agriculture. In Indonesia, there was a lady who was the president there, Megawati. Megawati had a PhD in agriculture. The philosophy in Indonesia is that right from the time you are in primary school, you must be exposed to what agriculture is about. In Nigeria, they neglected agriculture as just a byway course. In a country that is agrarian dominated, they neglected history. In fact, they removed history from literature from it. So at times, some people just come, just suddenly change the curriculum without looking at the effects that those changes. Now they are now bringing history back. My daughter was the only one in her set in USS that did history. I said, "How will you come and say you want to go and do as you will not study history?" They had to employ a history teacher because of her.
Wow.
But today they are now returning back to those history. So what is there that is just by the way? We need to really understand that course is not for dropout. In fact, there's problem in investing. When the person has a 180, why study agriculture? Let them take them to agriculture. Agriculture is not a dumping ground. Now at times we have about 1,000 students to teach. In a classroom that I was in the university, it was just 200 of us, yet we'll be searching for seats. Just 200 of us. Now that same class, you want to fit all the 500 students, 1,000 of them. There's no mic, there's no, at times you even go to the LT. The LT cannot take more than 500 or 600. That's what ASU is fighting for. But some parents are believing that I can tell you that the quality of graduates that we're going to have is going to diminish by the year. The truth of it is that 500 level students in faculty of agriculture, I think I should be able to say it, they did not do any written exam until first semester 500 level.
Wow.
They are doing autopos, CBT. So what is the quality that person is going to come out with in the workplace? That's why they will say your students are not employable. And the lecturers are shouting. In fact, lecturers are saying, let's change the narratives. Let's fight for our welfare. Let's just enter the class. At least we'll get 1 or 2 people who will be okay. So when the foundation is already faulty, what do you expect to get at the end of the tunnel? These are the major problems that are there. But now coming to the youths, tomorrow I will be doing a launching. I'm glad with us Friday. I know that each time I did launching from 2003 of my book publication, I always make every amount of money that I've invested. Now when I grew up to this level, I'm still a young man at 52. But already before I even launched the book, somebody in US, one of those doctors, paid for my book 200,000 back. Your guy in Sobi FM, I'm expecting him to be the chief presenter. There's another person. I'm just trying to say nothing that because of networking and linkages and way of dealing with people, it's not everybody that comes from a household that is privileged that necessarily we get, but it depends on how you're able to build yourself to be cosmopolitan. I got Fadama job because I was writing literature, from agriculture to writing drama, writing all these. So I get to the business center. They say, please sit here at the business center. Wala in Tikpoju, backspace. At that time in 1997, how many people were, 1999, how many people who even have access to desktop, not to talk of laptop? So I went for an interview. They said, what is this? This machine here. I said, laptop now. Can you operate it? I open it. Can you put some? All the people that came for an interview, I think we'll be close to about 20 or 40 there. None of them cooperate even a desktop in Kwara State Ministry. At that time, there was no access to it. So when I got to that work, the first thing I did was that everybody who is a graduate, all of them, they became field facilitator, about 20 of them, later to 64, they could not operate laptop. Everybody was computer literate. Today, one of my first facilitators is a professor in Dusi. My engineer is an actual prof in Mina. And I also have other people who are senior lecturers around because they left earlier. I was still busy working with Fadama. Today, I'm just a lecturer 1. So you can see the power of thinking ahead. But that thinking ahead, by the time I know what is that, this is 6 years, I should you have to give me a senior lecturer now. But before you know what is this, I'll get it. I now have a double advantage of it because I'm thinking, what I took, risk I took, I could be behind the curve. I was just very lucky. But for those of you, you must know exactly what do you want to do. So the world is moving towards artificial intelligence.
Thank you.
And then then we need also to mount pressure on government.
Yeah.
The only solution to get youth into agriculture is to establish farm estates. Where you can just enter the farm estate, you don't need to rent pond, you don't need to rent poultry, you can even have houses there. They will just enter, at least they can start it. Out of 20 of them that start, it's like the parable of the sower. At least 1/3 of them might survive it.
Thank you very much. Wow. You can see this is quite deep and fantastic, and I'm sure we are learning. And the viewers out there, we can see how things can be done better in order to manifest our greatness. Thank you very much. We have spent a lot of time within this little time. So before I go ahead, I'll move to the audience. I'm sure they have 1 or 2 questions for our guest.
Okay, thank you very much, our distinguished guests. It's a honor having you here again and the celebration of Nigeria's 60th anniversary. Today is unique, and that's why we have unique people around us. And we're so blessed that we have learned a lot of things from your wealth of experience, your background, and I believe that's the light for the future generation to actually imbibe. In the spirit of this Nigeria at 60, and with all the challenges we are faced with in this country, the food security is actually the most important thing in the world today. And since we have erudite scholars in agriculture, we believe that the future is actually assured. Now, my challenge is this. Nigeria's earning in terms of the total earning from Nigeria has been less than $100 billion in 5 years, which is actually not enough to fund research and research institutions. And we know that the future of every nation is actually the input from its research institutions. Now, as researchers, we know that we must be able to do something. Since the government will not be able to provide the social amenities as well as actually fund the research institution the right way. Now, what are we actually doing from the universities now in actually helping the Nigerian government in its drive, first, to redistribute the wealth, into diversifying the economy, and actually improve on its income generation? We know that what Nigeria is actually relying on for the future is agriculture. And we must be able to improve our product, our production. Agro-processing and agri-export should be the all for the future. Now, the university community, what are we ready actually in actually putting back to the society and for the Nigerian government to diversify and improve on our income generation, and also to be able to help the coming generation on the way forward and not looking at white collar jobs. That's what I actually think we should.
Can I start? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. My name is Oladi Jalalike David. I'm a senior information officer from Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. And I'm also a practicing farmer. And so I'm so much interested in the topic we are sharing or we are talking about today. But what I'm going to speak on, or what I'm going to ask questions on, is going to be from the angle of practicing farming and agriculture. Now, I have like 2 questions I want to ask, please. Number 1, I want to ask on the climatic change and agriculture. Now, if we look at it as a practicing farmer, it took like 4 or 5 months before we had rain this year compared to previous years. Now, this one simply shows to us that next year we might have shortage in food production in terms of food security or insecurity, as the case may be. Now, from the university angle or from the academic angle, I want us to please enlighten us more, or probably send messages to people outside there what we can do in order to avoid this calamity that is coming ahead of us. What I'm saying is the bridge between the university learners and the practicing farmers. How can we make it work out in a way that everybody will not suffer it come next year? Number 2, one of the major challenges Nigeria is facing now is insecurity. I'm not talking about food insecurity now. Insecurity everywhere. And directly or indirectly, we all know that it's affecting the production in agriculture. Because farmers in the up north can't go to their farms. Now in the north central, it's another problem. Another insecurity that we are facing now is the issue of the herdsmen and a lot of things like that. Now, I want to ask, what can we do in order to bridge, in order to stop this conflict that is claiming life and is also claiming our production? Please, these 2 questions are very, very important to me, Because in my home farm, presently as I'm talking to you, back in my village, I planted maize. You know, it's normal. You plant your maize, you leave to work, come back after 3 or 4 weeks. At least then you expect some weeds to have grown up. But you realize that on getting there, the maize has been eaten up by cows. So I decided not to go back again. So please, I want us to just kind of address this issue, and God will continue to help us. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Ibrahim Jimo. I also have 2 questions. Number 1, obviously Nigerian government tried to encourage farming with a lot of interventions put in place in order to encourage young farmers and old ones to embark on agriculture as a profession. But large number of the fund obviously is being shared among maybe the politician, while the little get to the original farmers. With all these challenges highlighted by my colleagues earlier, insecurity, insufficient fund, what is your advice for a youth going into farming in this turbulent environment we find ourselves? Second question. Second question goes this way. With this present pandemic, a lot of farmers were unable to go to field as at when due to national lockdown. Definitely, Nigeria is going to experience food shortage. So, what's your advice for Nigerians as a whole to cope in this situation? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam, for the wonderful session. It was really it was wonderful. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, sir. So my question will be related to education. Now, this is the 21st century. Entrepreneurship is the new gold. Virtually all youths, if it's not farming, it is business. Now, we are going to school to study a particular course. A lot of us are in the professional field, and now we are coming out with the notion of starting our own businesses. Where are we? Are we going to the right direction? How are we supposed to balance it together? Are we getting it right, or are we getting it wrong? And secondly, while we are in school, there's always this saying that we should pass through the school, or school should pass through. I can't remember the way the sentence is, but literally what I want to bring out from it is that when we are in school, we are advised not to just go to school, class, library, hostel, or probably your religious gatherings. We should try and do one thing or the other so as to develop ourselves better. Do you think this is better for us? Is it very beneficial for us? And how can we link all this, like entrepreneurship, these extracurricular activities and everything? How can we link them up together?
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I hope you have written down the questions, and I will love all the questions to be answered at once. And again, madam, please, doctor, when you're asking your question, there's this notion among our youth that education is a scam, and how true. Thank you. Can start with.
The first question was examining what is the contribution of the academia, particularly in terms of research, to better the lot of agriculture in Nigeria. Honestly speaking, you will see that the person who is in charge of African Development Bank is Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. He was our SY Minister for Agriculture. He had pioneered some systems in East Africa. It depends on, we have a federation. It depends on federating states' participation. I remember there was a program, the Staple Crop Processing Zone, that was trying to pioneer, and funds were being channeled there. But at that time, the vehicle to execute that program available under World Bank was Fadama Development Project. A lot of states partook in it, like Lagos, Kebbi, Anambra, because I wanted a World Bank mission. and I saw what tremendous things they were doing in Anambra, Enugu, and Lagos. Unfortunately, Kwara, probably because of some political reasons, did not participate in the additional financing of Adama 3. At the end of the day, we lost an opportunity of drawing funds of almost about 2 billion to 9 Kwara. And all they needed was just to pay a catapult fund. So it's the person that lifts his hand that the mother lifts. So the federal government might be trying its best. If the state government and local government do not complement, there's no way such opportunities will come down. And when production is enhanced, the next thing you're talking about is you are looking at the value chain. Not everybody might be producing, but somebody by the end of the value chain that is bringing something out. And you see that the federal government also closed the border for a while. A lot of people are against it. The reason that we have not produced enough. How will you ever be able to produce enough when you keep importing from other countries of the world? They closed the door to Scotch whiskey in India, which was so much like Scotch whiskey, cutting material from England during the colonial regime. But immediately they said, if any cloth that we produce in India, we must be willing to wear it. Any Scotch whiskey that has been produced there in India, they must be able to consume it. But Nigerians are saying that we have not produced enough. Import more. When they keep importing more, it's going to dampen your own economy because there's import substitution. So some people took advantage of it in northern Nigeria, and you see that the railway is now being built. In case of any problem, because the landlocked section of our country, they can easily have some of their produce moving up and down the economy. So what the major thing is that it takes two to tango. The university can put out research. Of course, I did a publication that came out in Francis and Taylor, one of the leading publication outlets, with some other guys. It was on Kapeomi irrigation dam scheme. It's beautiful on paper. They applauded, they accepted. They will not just publish any paper like that. But the problem is, who is going to implement this decision? We have about 8 river basin. We had since 1981 we have several river basin schemes. Money went into it, but we know what it ends up there. It turned into a political instrument. What can the lecturers do about it? Secondly, when you are picking personnel to man probably your ministries or your departments, or you should pick people who you feel are good. It's not people who will be learning on job. In a project circle, you will take almost about 1 or 2 years to master what you want to do. But somebody probably just graduated from university and now is manning a ministry. What happens? No experience, no exposure, no expertise, no knowledge of the environment. And you now say that it is the university that has the problem. It is we, the people we choose to take charge of our governance. We determine where we are going to pivot. We are going to pivot whatever they give to us. We have to just accept it like that. So, but for those who are in the academia, it's because of their knowledge. They are the best. They are the creme of the society. If they are not good, they will not end up being lecturers. They are the best in their class. But who will control them? Who will control the vote in the National Assembly? Might come from Mushin. And if whatever it gives to you is what you have. Now, I just sent an abstract for a paper on climate effect of climate change on rice production in Kwara State. Women academics, they are organizing a conference, so it's going to be visual and it's going to be oral. We are going to be saying anything. It's part of the problem that we saw. But the problem in Nigeria is that we are a reactive nation. We are not a proactive nation. Let me give you an example of a proactive nation. Egypt in the late 60s, discovered that each time there's a crisis at the upper regime of Lake Tana in Ethiopia and Lake Victoria, that are the supply years of water to the Nile. You know, there's no Nile, no Egypt. So each time there's a problem there, it means that they are at the mercy. They first use Mogu with Europeans, that they control everything on Nile. Nobody should do anything on it. But after independence, all those other East African countries sat down and said, how would they be determining what happens from this? If for instance, like there's something serious that happens at Asa that we are taking here comes from Oyo State. Oyun comes from Osun State. So if they stop and change the direction of this, it means that we don't have any waterways around these areas again. So that was what they wanted to do. So Egypt foresaw that problem long ago and decided to build the Aswan Dam, which is one of the biggest biggest dam project in the world, and they decided to construct Lake Nasser. Is one of the biggest man-made lake in the world, so that they were able to harness that water, the spillover from the flood and everything. And when they decided, they called America, please come and help us. America said, well, if you must do with you, you must not do with any other country forever in the world. They said, is it only you? They said, no, we don't accept those terms of condition. So what did America do? America decided that nobody, that they are not going to give them money. So they approached Russia and they nationalized the Suez Canal. The next thing was that European powers and everybody invaded Egypt until there was outcry. But what they have succeeded in doing was they brought the Russians. If you see Egyptian pyramids, 17 times those in pyramids what they used to construct that Aswan Dam. Today they have the lake. Either there's famine, either there's a problem somewhere, they have enough water to take care of themselves. They were proactive. The only proactive measure, probably because of this restructuring that they're shouting, you know, there's a refinery in Daura now. There's a land rail. So in case of anything, you can refine your fuel in Daura without coming to Lagos or any place. It means that they're taking proactive measure. If people are, because of this insecurity that is plaguing, they are funding investment. Most of the government are putting so much investment into agriculture in the north, so that their farmers would also take a comparative advantage. So that when you are bringing something from outside, so it's only a proactive government that can really take agriculture at the macro level, at the bigger level. But the lower level is the climate change that we are talking about. Education is the only way out for our farmers. So a lot of drought resistant varieties need to be introduced. You need to bring more drought resistant varieties, high yielding varieties. All those ones are going to assist to, so that within a short period of span that we have rain, you can take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Then in terms of conflict resolution and problem, I'm happy the person from Ministry of Information said what he said just now. You witness it, but how many times is it reported in government mainstream media? They hide it. The problem are there. Even right time from time I was in Fadama. When you talk, somebody will say they are Fulani because everybody is a headsman. We know this problem are there. They have been there. But we are engaging in cold complicity and mute indifference. And history will not forgive those who are doing that. How many farmers you go to your farm, you are even not even sure. You are okay, cattle is cattle that is eating in this thing. How about your life? How safe and secure are you in the farm with banditry and insecurity everywhere in Nigeria? And that is what we feel that our political elites can find a way to assist us. Then for youths, there are three things that can take use of the street. Number one is entertainment. Like it or not, I don't want to be big brother or whatever you are talking about. But you see that in all this singing, all this, and people are making money. In fact, someone then taught me how you can have your wallet so that once your music is sung, your money will be entering into your wallet. That's one. The sports was another way under entertainment. The second one is agriculture. There's Kogui that finished from Kwasu. He read engineering and Adilodo and all of them. They are trying to use this concept of crowdfunding so that they can bring people together. Once they're able to do it, probably what we now have to do is how can we produce to be economically efficient, technically efficient, allocatively efficient, using a very small portion of land. You know, at times we will produce 1.2 tons per hectare of rice, when the world average is about 5 tons per hectare. And Nigeria is the largest importer of one of the largest importer of rice into the world. Consumption of imported rice. In fact, the largest importer is Benin. It's the 5th largest importer of rice in the whole world. How much rice are they consuming? The market is destined for Nigeria. But we can produce efficiently in every household. Half plot, you can see that people can be able to feed themselves and they'll be comfortable. So those are then for youth, the third one is artificial intelligence. I think I have a hub that I'm helping somebody to man. And the hub, you can see the guys, they train themselves, they're making a lot of things from them. They will not it's not everything you learn on the street. Like I told you, I learned literature on the street, which I'm using to make some little money for myself. So the school is just to broaden your horizon, widen your horizon. But when you get out, you need to continue to add on to those your skill, so that, because the work is not there in the society any longer. Thank you very much.
All right, ma. Your turn. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. The question was that how do we convince youth to change their mindset that education is a scam? This is one of the most difficult parts of my job description. What do I mean by this? I'm not only teaching them the scientific and technical aspects of our course, but I have to teach them that knowledge is worth imbibing, and teach them that knowledge, the application of that knowledge, could literally change their lives forever. And they look me in the face because I'm very approachable. I talk to my students in class, outside class. They look at me and say, look, between me and you, doctor, this education, my dad paid school fees. I'm here to get degree. It won't be useful to me. And I say, why? Why is it not useful? And they go, I have 3 siblings, first class and 2-1 holders, who don't have jobs. What are my chances? I have cousins who have finished master's degrees, are doing PhDs, have never got a job. What are my chances? Education is a scam, Joe. It worked in your generation. It doesn't work for us anymore. It's difficult to argue because they are not fools. The first mistake we make as mentors, as academics, is to look at them and say, what do you know? You don't know anything. They have their legitimate worries. So the first thing I do is recognize and acknowledge that things are indeed different. But then I go ahead to tell them that. Tell me, what is your alternative? What else do you know or possess that can lift you out of poverty and raise your socioeconomic status? Then they start scratching their heads. I've got them. So I sit them down and let them know that, yes, you look around, the fraudsters are being well celebrated, like he mentioned. Politicians and other people in power who misappropriate funds never get prosecuted, or they get a slap on the wrist and are rewarded with higher positions, and the looting continues. They are seeing these things. Just recently, 2.6 billion or so of the school feeding program vanished into thin air. Palliatives, COVID-19 fund, issues. So that is within the past 1 or 2 weeks. Now imagine 40 years back or 60 years of looting Nigeria incessantly. Everybody's just waiting for an opportunity now to go and loot. So I would say to my students, what I always say is that, look, you can choose the path of honor and integrity, and it is the path less traveled. Or you can join the bandwagon and say, everybody is looting Nigeria and milking her dry, I will contribute. Is that what you want to be? Is that who you want to be? We used to have values where a family name, integrity, was so important. It was a currency we traded in. Whose child are you? Who is your father? Where are you from? We can go back to these. These ideals are the only way I see that Nigerian youth will take pride in dignity and dignity in their labor. If you are able to, as a student, graduate and you don't get a job, you see the knowledge you have acquired might not immediately yield fruit. Subsequently it will, whether as an entrepreneur or when you eventually get a job. You will not hammer and become a multi-billionaire by earning salaries immediately. There are some people who are salary earners, managing directors of banks. They have first degrees like this. Keep developing yourself. Self-development, personal and professional development, network, interact, seek mentors, be ready to learn, unlearn and relearn, be open, make friends, don't burn bridges, and you will see that the lines will fall in pleasant places for you. In conclusion, education is not a scam. It just depends. It's going to be a longer process to being successful, but it is still the surest and most valuable way to improve yourself.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Now the question that was directed.
Nice one.
Thank you, sir. The question that was directed to me by the fantastic young lady there, she started by saying entrepreneurship is the new gold. I couldn't agree with you more. It is, in fact, you know the statistic because you're a Nigerian woman. Nigerian women are the closest things you have to superwomen in the world. Nigerian women, no, seriously. Nigeria has the largest number of female entrepreneurs in the world. It's not my statistic, it's in the public space. And that means we're doing something right and we need to continue doing it. Now, we might be entrepreneurs due to circumstance. We didn't go to school with the intention of being entrepreneurs, but we are doing good. We are doing well with it. So the thing is this. You mentioned about passing through school and the school should pass through you. It was there in my time too, and it persists till today. Don't just go home, school, home, lectures, church or mosque, triangle. No, don't do that. The school education is different from literacy. You are not just there to calculate, cram, pass, go out. There are experiences you can only get within the vicinity of an academic environment, which is why online learning, as good as it is, will not be replacing in-person education anytime soon. You will interact with people, pick up extracurricular activities, volunteer. What you are picking up are skills that will set you apart at interviews. For every position I have recruited people for, I have had more than 50 times the number of people I was looking for. I mean, if I have one space, I will get 100 applications. They all have 2-1s. They all have first classes. Do you know what differentiates them? You see those non-triangular students, the ones that volunteered in church, the ones that attended Asalatu, the ones that volunteered for campus cleaning exercises, those that had a life on campus, the school passed through them. When you ask general knowledge questions, they do better. They have higher IQs. They have higher EQs, emotional quotient. They are easy to work with. They are trainable. They are versatile. They are nimble, and they are easy to relate with. So keep in mind that apart from your degree, the non-quantifiable, intangible knowledge you are acquiring in school will benefit you. It gives you an edge any day, anytime. So your extracurricular activities are by no means a waste. And one thing you should do for yourself to encourage you the more, whenever those extracurricular activities benefit you, speak to yourself and say, thank God for the day I decided to go and do this volunteering thing. It has come to help me today. It is to encourage you and prepare you to be ready for a life of even more sacrifice. Don't think they are existing in silos. All your experiences come together to make you a holistic being, a well-rounded individual. That is why if you get an online course or you went through the 4 walls of an academic institution, you don't have the same experiences. And you are the one that will milk that interaction, the human component that you have acquired, and use it to further develop yourself. For entrepreneurship, we did not study entrepreneurship. If you get a degree in microbiology or English or geography, then you go out and become a tailor. Where is the synergy? There is none, right? There is. You learned problem solving. You learned abstract thinking. You learned critical thinking. You learned project management. You learned boss management when you were handling your supervisor. You learn management of resources. You learn problem solving. You learn how to interact with difficult team members. We didn't give you a certificate for all that, but that is what will make your business survive. That is why you will do better than the illiterate. So those skills, they might not, you didn't get BSc tailoring, B.Ed shoemaking, but that is what sets you apart compared to the uneducated. I hope and I pray that the curriculum is amended to further mainstream entrepreneurship. But even until before then, what you're learning now, we have entrepreneurship programs at GSE, at undergraduate and master's levels. These are signs that the universities and the government recognize that we need to technically and formally support our people to continue being the entrepreneurial stars that they are. So please, things will get better, but the little you have now, don't undervalue it. It is why you are making it. It's why you are thriving. Just continue to believe in yourself and put together the little you have, and you will succeed. All the people doing well abroad got the same education as you. You know why they are doing well? The foundation wasn't so bad. You can't buy long span roof on thatch building. It will collapse. Your foundation was solid. Is why when you went abroad, the best students were Nigerian students that passed through the same institutions. We are saying they are not good. There is a long way to improve, but we are not doing very badly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. As you can see today is... Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We so much appreciate both of you. We appreciate this a lot. As you can see, today is highly loaded. And I'm sure you are not the way you came in anymore. And as for viewers, I can say that NasTV is pulling it. Thank you very much. We so much appreciate this. And NasTV Africa is a subsidiary of Deep Global Image, a mentorship aspect platform. Because we believe that during the training, teaching people how to live entrepreneurship mindset, the positioning, we believe that the major problem the youth of Africa has is the fact that they are disconnected with their mentors. They don't understand. If you ask any young man who is your mentor, they are confused. And the most recognized mentor to most youth is the musicians. So that there are too many of them. So and then they don't understand that there are so many people. Most of them are students of University of Ilorin here. They've always been seeing you around. They have never seen you because they are not in microbiology. So they don't know that, wow, this is what we have. Most of them are students of University of Ilorin, but they don't know that, wow, so this one is this loaded. So we have decided to bridge the gap between the young people that want to grow and the people that have achieved it, and we will continue to this, and this will not be the last time that we have you on this platform. One of our program is we want to start teaching the youth out there what is called street smartness, and that's exactly what makes the difference, like you rightly said, between those that are quite successful and the people that are backward. Because when you look at Lagos State, they are not that educated. The only thing they have is street smartness. Places like that. If you look at so many other countries, in fact, Nigeria, our street smartness is far higher than those abroad because we learn through hard ways. So we are not pampered, so we survive and we make our own way. So we do so much appreciate this. This is the time we call it a deal on NasTV Africa, an online mentorship platform. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel NasTV_Africa and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, NasTV_Africa. Thank you and God bless.